Hello and welcome to News Central Television. I am Lekon Onobanjo. The top stories at this hour. Police, military rescue kidnapped naval officer as trigger-happy police officer sends 3 persons to early graves in Cross River. Suspended Rivers State Governor Semenolaye Fubara makes first appearance since declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State. Suspected Al-Shabaab militants attack Kenyan police station, kill 6 officers in Biyamado, Garissa County. Details to come your way shortly. We begin with the good news that the naval officer abducted in the Federal Capital Territory has regained freedom. Lieutenant Cynthia Akko, attached to the Defense Headquarters, and 2 civilians were kidnapped on March 21, 2025, when armed men attacked the Mamal Vatsa Estate Gate, blocked Mbappe Road, and opened fire on moving vehicles before abducting them. The kidnappers later contacted their families, demanding 500 million naira for the naval officer and 200 million naira each for the civilians. However, the police, in collaboration with the military, rescued the kidnapped officer along with 2 civilians. FCT Police Command spokesperson SP Josephine Ade confirmed this in a statement issued on Sunday. She said the victims were traced to a resettlement camp in Angwanmazu and Yowa Hills in Nasarawa State, where they were rescued, while 4 of the suspected kidnappers were also arrested. Similarly, the Anambra State Police Command has rescued Reverend Father Stephen Echezona, abducted by gunmen at a petrol station in Ichida, Anocha local government area. The assailants, driving a white Lexus SUV, had taken the priest in his own car after abandoning their vehicle following a gunfight with security forces. In a statement on Sunday, the command spokesperson SP Tochukwu Ikenga said the victim was rescued in the early hours of March 23, 2025 by a joint security team comprising the police, the Nigerian Army, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, and local vigilante groups from Ichida and Ihiala. The kidnappers fled into the bush, leaving behind the stolen vehicle. Meanwhile, authorities continue to search for the criminals and the priest's car. Still on policing concerns, a police inspector, Effiong Bassey, suspected to have gone berserk, has shot 3 persons in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. The Cross River State Police Command confirmed the incident in a statement on Sunday. According to the command's spokesperson, Udo Irene, the incident happened in the early hours of Sunday at the Divisional Police Headquarters in Atakpa, Calabar. She said Bassey returned from his night duty at a Microfinance Bank and began to exhibit abnormal behaviour. It further stated that Inspector Bassey refused to hand over the AK-47 rifle he was assigned and instead proceeded to block the station's gate, preventing anyone from entering or leaving the premises. Despite attempts at peaceful dialogue to resolve the situation, the officer's actions escalated. The statement also expressed heartfelt condolences to the family of the deceased and wished a speedy recovery to those injured. Staying with security matters, bandits ambushed a group of Zamfara State Community Protection Guards known as Askarawa and local vigilantes in Ankara local government area, killing 6 guards and 4 vigilantes. The operatives had just returned from a successful operation led by the Nigerian Army, which resulted in the death of several bandits. As they headed back, they were ambushed near Bagega, leading to the devastating loss of 10 lives. Governor Dauda Lawal confirmed the incident, noting that 3 others remain missing, including 2 CPG members and 1 vigilante. Authorities are investigating and efforts are underway to locate the missing individuals. Now, reports confirm that there's been an explosion on the right-of-way of one of the pipelines of the Soko oil facility in Akukutoro local government area of Rivers State. said to be operated by the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited. According to the locals in the area, an explosion accompanied by fireballs was heard and seen in the sky from the facility area, which is hard to reach, and the fire may still be burning as at the time of this report. While the cause of the explosion is not yet known, the leadership of Soko Kingdom, through its General Secretary, Witness Alasia, in a statement affirmed that the Soko gas plant was not impacted and is still operational. It would be recalled that this is the third incident on oil facilities in Rivers State in less than a week, with the first occurring in the Ogun area and the second at the Olga-Ibema Ndoni local government area, as also cited by President Bola Tinubu in his nationwide broadcast on March 18, while declaring a 6-month state of emergency on Rivers State and suspended the State House Assembly members, the Deputy Governor, and Governor Siminalayi Fubara. News Central's monitoring developments of this particular incident and will bring you updates as they emerge. Anyways, earlier, Opwende Isaiah joined us for conversations around recent security breaches in Rivers State, and here are his views.
Very necessary because it's a destruction of the facilities around my constituency. And if I don't speak on it, it's like I'm encouraging people who have been instigated by unnecessary sentiment to continue to vandalize facilities of the federal government. You know, I got the news as early as possible, and I was not surprised that it will happen because the instigation has been in the air, and a lot of persons called me and were asking me what is happening within your terrain. And the thing is this: if somebody who has failed to respect the Constitution, who has failed to respect judgment from a competent court of jurisdiction from the lower to the highest level, will now instigate people to go and destroy oil facilities because he feels the assembly wants to impeach him. This is the same thing that is going on that led to emergency rule in Rivers State. And those persons have not been warned, have not been spoken to say, please shield your sword. And that's why they keep going on to destroy oil facilities in Rivers State. Honestly, I am not happy that this thing is happening. Nobody has the monopoly of violence to do so.
Now, suspended Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has made his first public appearance since President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency in Rivers State on March 18, 2025. Governor Fubara was spotted leaving the Salvation Ministry's church in Port Harcourt, the state capital, after attending Sunday service. News Central's crew was at the church and reports that Governor Fubara refused to comment on the ongoing issues in the state.
Where is our governor? Where is Governor Siminalayi Fubara, with rumors flying around that he went to Bayelsa State, he's with the governor in Bayelsa, and so many other rumors that we've heard. However, we caught wind of the information that he was worshiping at this church Salvation Ministry about a few hours ago, and by the time he got here, he was just stepping out. Unfortunately, we couldn't speak with him because he didn't grant audience. I guess he didn't want to comment on so many other things. However, we were able to confirm that the governor was here, and that is his first appearance since the state of emergency. So that puts to rest if the governor is in the state, if the governor is safe. I think that puts to rest those questions that the governor is actually safe. I spoke to a few of church members. I don't know if they will be willing, because they are trying to chase us away from this position we are right now, saying we need authorization. So that's why I'm trying to speed up. I spoke to church members that came from the church, how they felt about seeing their governor since this whole issue started, and they felt at peace that one, is safe, and two, that nothing is wrong with him, and that he's here. And it gives them some sort of hope. They, however, know that he didn't speak in church, he just came to worship. The governor himself didn't speak, but we're hoping to speak with more persons. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, good afternoon, sir. I'm sorry I didn't let you take your drink. I just want to ask you one question. How did you feel seeing the governor in church today?
I feel very good because it's the right thing that you have done. to be in the presence of God today. Understand? Because what has happened to him, he needs God. He really needs God for intervention or whatever. Understand? This is the time for him to seek the face of God now. That is what I thought about it.
With someone new now in the helm of affairs, that is the sole administrator in the helm of affairs, and you're seeing your governor, does this give you hope that things might change, or things will probably just remain the way they are right now?
Things will definitely change. There is nothing impossible with God. Understand? No matter how men think in their heart, but no matter what anybody God have blessed, nobody can curse it. No matter how what government have said, government have tried to, should I say manipulation or whatever, understand, if I'm mistaken. But if the will of God is something that the will of God will be done, must definitely to be done.
Meanwhile, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has taken President Bola Tinubu to court over what it calls the unlawful suspension of the Rivers State Governor, his deputy and House of Assembly members. The 6-month suspension was announced while the president proclaimed a state of emergency in the state. Sarab argued that the decision violates constitutional provisions and undermines democratic governance. The lawsuit filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja on Friday was initiated by 3 members of Sarab's Volunteers Lawyers Network in Rivers State, namely Yerabari Israel Nulog, Nengim Ikpomog Royal, and Gracious Eyo Simfumboko. The Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and Vice Admiral Ibok Eteibas, retired, have also been joined as defendants. Staying with Rivers' political situation, former President Goodluck Jonathan has stated that the suspension of elected officials in Rivers State has tarnished Nigeria's image and could deter investment. Speaking at the Aske Satumari Foundation colloquium in Abuja, Jonathan criticized key actors in the executive and legislative arms for actions that portray the country negatively. He emphasized that government's decisions impact national perception and economic prospects. His remarks followed controversy over President Bola Tinubu's declaration of emergency rule in Rivers State and the 6-month suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, Deputy Governor Ngozi Udu, and state lawmakers. Jonathan also condemned undue interference in the judiciary, stressing that such actions undermine public confidence in the legal system. He said he was compelled to speak after calls from concerned Nigerians. Still in Rivers State, the state's sole administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Eteibas, has advised the contractor handling the State Assembly Complex project to speed up work and deliver it as mutually agreed. Vice Admiral Ibas, retired, insisted that part of his mandate included restoring full and effective legislative activities in the state. The sole administrator gave the charge when he visited to inspect the ongoing reconstruction work of the new assembly complex located along Moscow Road in Port Harcourt local government area on Saturday.
Appointed in the first place to be here to maintain law and order that will enable us go back to what the state is supposed to be. In the last 2 days, you're also aware that I had been at the executive arm of the state governance structure, and one of the pillars that is missing for now is the legislature, and for them to function effectively they also need a place to work from. Perhaps I'm here to be sure that work is going on as expected, so that by the end of the 6 months, this place will be ready for those who need to use it. I think basically that's what it is.
We'd like to know whether you will be pushing the contractor to ensure that it's clear within this season.
They have a schedule and they have timelines that I believe they will adhere to. Okay. I think the state has done its own bit by providing the necessary funds. I was briefed, and so the onus is on them to make sure that they keep to the terms. Okay.
Thank you.
And earlier on the news, we told you that a particular oil asset in Rivers State again has been vandalized by yet to be identified perpetrators, and this is causing a lot of concerns for so many people in Rivers State and of course the federal government, as this might lead to the loss of revenue. And so to help us talk more and shed more light on this, I'm being joined by Dr. Fineface Domnemene. Fineface is the Executive Director, YEAC Nigeria, and has been on the trail of developments in Rivers State, and he will be, of course, helping us understand this better. Thank you so much, Mr. Fineface, for joining us. Can you please...
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Good evening to you all.
All right, you're welcome. We can hear you now. Now, let's get your reactions on the recent developments in Rivers State, particularly the vandalization of oil installations in the state.
Yeah, I will say and confirm that there was explosion on a gas pipeline linking to the Soku gas facility operated by, NLNG, in the late hours of yesterday, breaking this morning. But I wouldn't say that the pipeline was vandalized or the gas facility was vandalized until we have a joint investigation visit carried out by the National OSP Detection and Response Agency, NOSDRA, to determine the cause of the explosion, the cause of the leakage, and the cause of the inferno on the gas facility operated by by NLNG. So I think until we get some of these steps taken as required by the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, then we cannot conclude to say that it was sabotage or vandalism or attack on the pipeline. Because before the incident we currently have in Rivers State, that a lot of people are pointing accusing finger at the political situation as the reason why pipelines are being vandalized. We've been having a lot of incidents of crude oil spill in Rivers State, fire incidents in Rivers State. So I think every situation that links to oil facility in Rivers State should not be linked to the political crisis or threat by the Creek boys or comments by the governor. But until we have concluded investigation through what the law says by National OSP Detection and Response Agency carrying out a joint investigation visit, we shouldn't conclude that a pipeline was attacked or it was vandalized.
But this is the third time that we will be recording such incidents in Rivers State in the last, let me say, 1 week. And I know that there are people who have been contracted to secure or protect those national assets. Now, would it mean that they are not really doing their job as expected, or how do we tie this around?
Yeah, generally, the first incident that happened in the Ogoni area, it was something that I wouldn't say has anything to do with the political crisis, because it was just act of sabotage from what we are told, because a pit that was dug as a result of alleged involvement of some youths in the area in illegal refinery activities led to that incident of fire outbreak that we had in parts of Ogoni. And then we had the second one later on, less than 12 hours after that incident, in the Oba Egbemandoni local government area of Rivers State. That one was directly linked, from what we have heard, to maybe the political crisis of some youths who are vandalizing the pipeline because there have been threats on the assembly who are trying to impeach the governor before the emergency rule was declared in Rivers State. And even before we recorded the one that we had today from Soku, there was an incident on Thursday last week in Okrika local government area of Rivers State, where a point was said to have been leaking and security operatives protected the area from inferno. And the inferno that was protected on Thursday last week eventually happened yesterday, being the 22nd day of March in Okrika, whereby on the PPMC pipeline, where they were carrying out repairs, there was leakage, and then there was incident of explosion that was quickly put out and contained. And then we now have this one. So within the past 1 week or thereabout, we have had 4 incidents of oil occurring on oil facility in Rivers State. So generally speaking, this is what we normally have. We have had a system in Rivers State whereby any week that there is no oil spill incident or explosion incidents is a week of breaking news. We live with this. And these are just a few of what we can report. A lot of these things happen without us getting to know that it has happened. But in all of this, I think we need to really carry out investigation. We are the Youth and Environmental Advocacy Center, because we have a network of youth in all communities across the Niger Delta. When it happens, we are able to know. We only raise awareness and let the people understand that this has happened, and then call for investigation into it. That is what we've been doing, and I believe that that has been helping the authorities to know when there is explosion, when there is oil spill, and then they carry out joint investigation visit to determine the cause of the spill, and then invoke sections of the 2021 Petroleum Industry Act to address the issue, to know if it is sabotage or equipment failure, and then those who are involved or responsible for it are held to account.
All right, thank you so much for giving us these updates. Definitely we'll try and keep up with you. Probably when the investigation has been concluded, we can have an understanding of who the culprits might be. Well, it was nice talking to you at this particular time. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Now, let's switch gears to the 2027 election. The ambition of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and zoning disputes are reportedly stalling negotiations among political leaders ahead of the 2027 election. It was reported that the zoning disputes and presidential ambition of the People's Democratic Party chieftain comes amid the move to form an alliance to challenge President Bola Tinubu in 2027 intensifies. There has been a growing debate about whether opposition parties in Nigeria should unite to challenge President Bola Tinubu's administration. On Thursday, March 20, opposition figures like Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and Nasir El-Rufai announced the formation of a coalition to oust President Tinubu in 2027 democratically. President Tinubu's party, the All Progressives Congress, has been in power since 2015, the year the PDP, which led for 16 years, was sacked. Earlier, we had our political analyst, Akin Fakponda, who joined us to share his thoughts on the merits and demerits of the coalition. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Based on the enemy of my friend is my enemy. And what is the objective? They want to take a slice of Nigerian cake. They are not interested in public interest at all. The coalition will unravel, it will dissolve eventually. Tinubu is not a small cake to handle. Money for money. Nobody can stand a sitting president with 1 million plus barrels of crude oil income coming by per day. Since everything is based on money, the coalition is just a joke. It's just motion without movement.
We now go on a break on the news. When we return, we'll tell you about sexual harassment allegation and what the Amnesty International is saying in reaction to it. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Amnesty International has called for an immediate and impartial investigation into the sexual harassment allegation against Senate President Godswill Akpabio by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. In a statement, Isa Sanusi, Amnesty International's country director for Nigeria, said the gravity of the allegations necessitates a thorough and unbiased probe, warning that inaction could have severe consequences. It said a blatant failure of the authorities to investigate the allegations raised by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan will have wider devastating consequences that include perpetuating a system that makes it increasingly difficult for survivors of sexual harassment to get justice, while allowing perpetrators to get away with gross human rights violations. Akpoti-Uduaghan has maintained that her 6-month suspension from the Senate is an attempt to silence her. The legislator was suspended from the Senate on March 6 for gross misconduct following her seating arrangement altercation with Akpabio. In the meantime, a federal high court sitting in Lokoja, Kogi State capital, has set aside an earlier ruling that restrained the Independent National Electoral Commission from receiving the recall process initiated by constituents of Kogi Central Senatorial District against Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The Federal High Court, in a landmark judgment delivered in Lokoja on Friday, affirms that the recall process is constitutionally valid and aligns with the civic rights of the constituents. The court urged the constituents to continue exercising their rights in an orderly and peaceful manner. The development was after the court on Thursday granted an interim injunction restraining INEC, its staff, agents, privies, or assigns from receiving, accepting, or acting on any petition containing signatures of members of Kogi Central Senatorial District. The injunction, however, restrains INEC, its staff, and agents from receiving or accepting recall petitions with fake signatures and conducting any referendum based on such petitions. The case has been adjourned to May 6, 2025 for further mentioning. And also, a former member of the House of Representatives from Kogi State and People's Democratic Party stalwart Abdurrahman Badamasi has dismissed the alleged collection of signatures for the recall of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, calling it a fabrication of political mischief makers. Speaking on exclusive interview with New Central Special Correspondent for Investigative Journalism, Marshall Ononye, Badamasi claimed that those pushing for the senator's recall are not genuine constituents of Kogi Central, but hired mercenaries.
Not an organic call or recall. Why? Because it is not the wish of the people. Despite the fact that they deceived the people for an empowerment program, which people later discovered, they have to back it up with maximum security force to be able to even get something. If you look at most of the videos going around, you see them inside the various houses writing and signing the so-called recall. We saw it as an opposition party of PDP. We saw it as a charade. We saw it as something that will not go anywhere. It cannot stand the test of time. The first step is to collect signature attached to a petition to INEC, and INEC will now embark on verification of those signatures if they are genuine. Thereafter, they will call for a referendum of yes or no. They are on their first stage, and we notice extreme fraud in the collection of signature. On that one, we'll wait for them in the verification exercise so that we expose it.
Talking insecurity now, banditry in northwestern state of Katsina continues to wreak havoc on the society, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Thousands have been displaced, livelihoods destroyed, and families torn apart. In the struggle to survive, many displaced women are forced into unimaginable choices, including sex work, as they struggle to keep themselves and their families alive. Rukaya Jibia has more in this report.
The crisis has escalated into a full-blown humanitarian disaster in Katsina State, with many villages raided, homes burned, and families scattered.
On the day they came to our village, they chased everyone. Everyone ran. My father was sick. He has no legs. He couldn't run. We left him behind.
When you kill a man in northern Nigeria, you kill a community, because you may discover that that person is having 3 wives and 15 or 17 children.
Armed bandits frequently attack rural communities, killing, injuring, abducting residents, and demanding large ransoms. Many families are forced to sell their belongings or borrow money to secure the release of their loved ones, plunging them into poverty. To escape the violence, people flee their homes and villages. The state, now home to over 173,856 IDPs, has no official camps, leaving displaced families to fend for themselves in overcrowded makeshift settlements.
When I arrived in Katsina, I tried to look for an IDP camp, but there was none. I was living on the streets. I later found a place near PDP office, but it was not convenient there.
The absence of formal IDP camps in Katsina means displaced individuals, especially women, lack access to organized humanitarian aid, including food, clean water, and medical care.
We met a situation whereby we don't have a record or data of the actual location of the IDPs, internally displaced persons. We don't have that. We didn't meet any data in regard to that. So we are faced with that challenge.
In their new environment, the crisis is even more dire. Many have lost their husbands, father, and brothers to the violence. With no family support, no education, and no job opportunities, they are left with few options to feed themselves.
I sleep everywhere because I don't know anyone. At times, we find it hard to eat. Many times, we have to go and beg for food.
Desperation drives many of these girls to sex work. To some, it's a last resort.
If we did not eat the whole day, we have to come out at night to look for food. Even if it is not much, at least the younger ones will have what to eat.
What do you expect from internally displaced persons who have no homes, have no jobs, have no one to support them, and they must eat?
This exposes them to significant risk, including violence, abuse, and social stigma.
I worked in a house. The woman normally goes to work and leaves me with her kids at home. When she leaves, the husband comes back asking me to sleep with him. He'll be touching me. I had to leave the house.
There are young girls amongst us. Most of them are lured with food by young boys. This really pained me because they are young. At least we are older, but those girls shouldn't go through this.
When you are faced with hunger, you have little options. Whatever comes your way as an option, you will definitely employ that thing, whatever it is, just so you can survive.
The cycle of poverty and vulnerability is hard to break. Without access to education, skills training, or sustainable livelihoods.
That can be a reason for many of them to now venture into sex hawking. So you can see the vicious cycle. from losing their fathers or their husbands to finding themselves cramped in a deplorable condition, in a squalor.
These women remain trapped in a system that offers little or no hope at all, making it difficult for them to rebuild their lives or secure a better future for their families. In Katsina, for News Central, Rukaiya Jibia.
Well, our reports reaching us indicates that there is a pipe leakage at Obianime Ama community of Krika local government area of Rivers State. Residents of the community say the leakage occurred around 2:30 p.m. on Sunday. For more on the leakage, I'm being joined by Emily Ogiri Chima. Now, Emily is a resident in the area. Emily, good evening to you. Hello, Emily, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening.
All right, thank you. I'd like you to tell us more about the leakage.
Okay. First of all, the incident happened at Obianama community in the Krika local government area of Rivers State. The timeline of occurrence was at 2:30 p.m. and the leakage was discovered by residents and passers-by. Also, the products carried by the pipeline is yet to be identified, as some persons said is kerosene, others said is diesel, and some others said is condensate. And also, companies like PPMC, the NNPC, and PH Refinery, these are the companies around the community. They are yet to say anything condoning of community members. And currently the situation is still being monitored. And then coming into the community, right about now, there is tension in the community as people are afraid if the leakage would result to an outbreak if it is not properly sealed. And then as to linkage to issues of vandalism or vandals, nobody's sure of what happened that caused the leakage. So that's that for the now. Like I said, the situation is still being monitored.
Let's have an idea of where exactly this leakage is being situated and the possibility of it affecting probably the people around, because of course you said there is palpable fear among people around the communities.
Okay, like I said earlier, the leakage happened at Obianimama community in Okrika local government area of Rivers State, Obianimama community. That's where the leakage occurred. And yes, the people are actually afraid because although the situation has been salvaged, it has been sealed currently, but they are still living in tension just in case of any other leakage that can lead to a fire outbreak.
All right, thank you, Emily, for sharing this with us.
Thank you very much.
Coming up on the news. Al-Shabaab attack on a police station in Kenya kills 6. We'll tell you more when we return. Join us again. Six Kenyan police officers have been killed by suspected Al-Shabaab militants in an attack on a police reservist camp in Biyamado, Garissa County on Sunday. The militants used various weapons to overrun the camp early in the morning, resulting in fatalities. Additionally, 4 others were injured and taken to the hospital. Al-Shabaab, an Islamist militant group with a long history of fighting the Somali government, has increasingly targeted Kenyan forces, particularly due to Kenya's military involvement in Somalia. The group is active in areas such as the Boni Forest, which lies along the Kenya-Somalia border, and has carried out several attacks within Kenya. 3 civilians, including 2 children, were killed on Sunday in a brutal artillery attack by Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces on Omdurman, part of Greater Khartoum, according to medical source. The strikes were among the heaviest in recent months, just days after the army recaptured the presidential palace in a symbolic victory. Since the conflict began in April 2023, tens of thousands have died and over 12 million people have been displaced. Eyewitnesses described an unprecedented intensity of shelling, with 7 rounds fired consecutively. The medical source at Al-Nau Hospital confirmed the fatalities, with 8 others injured. Despite recent army gains, RSF forces continue to target civilian areas, exacerbating the ongoing humanitarian crisis. Outside of Africa, we tell you that a Turkish court formally placed Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu under arrest as part of a graft investigation on Sunday after a 4th night of mass protests sparked heavy clashes with riot police. The decision was confirmed by one of İmamoğlu's lawyers, with the court also due to rule in a second terror-related probe into the popular opposition mayor, whose detention has sparked Turkey's worst street protests in over a decade. The news came as voters cast their ballot in a primary to name İmamoğlu the party's candidate for the 2028 presidential race. The long-planned vote was the event which triggered the arrest of İmamoğlu, who is widely seen as the only politician capable of challenging President Recep Tayyip Erdogan.
Gerçekten hukuksuzca bir tutuklama. Maalesef ülkede artık adaletin olmadığı ortada. Ekrem Başkan yalnız değil. Biz burada her zaman ona destek veriyoruz. İstanbullu olarak. Geleceğin Cumhurbaşkanı da yapacağız inşallah. En kısa zamanda tutukluluk süreci bitecek. Biz buna inanıyoruz. En kısa zamanda kendisini Cumhurbaşkanı yapacağız.
Bundan sonra eylemler mutlaka devam edecektir ama şiddet içerikli hiçbir zaman olmayacak. Hakkımızı sonuna kadar arayacağız. Artık Türk milleti de uyandı. Uyandığı için de Türk milleti hiçbir zaman eğilmez, bükülmez.
Vallahi polisle karşı karşıya gelmek istemiyoruz. Kanuni yoldan, Büyük Millet Meclisi'nin tepkiler neyse biz vatandaş olarak, halk olarak bunu göstereceğiz her zaman. Yani oyumuza...
In business, the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited is gearing up to improve its domestic liquefied petroleum gas supply to the Nigerian market. The company plans to achieve this through closer collaboration with stakeholders and the digitalization of its processes. Tolulope Lunge, manager commercial contract management, emphasized the importance of the planned improvements in enabling LLNG to achieve its goal of delivering 100% of its LPG supply to Nigerian consumers. Sports, the second season of the Athletics School Games showcased rising stars at Yabatech Sports Complex in Lagos, with 16 schools competing. St. Xavier School, Ikoyi, won the primary division with 214 points, while Grange School dominated the secondary category with 655 points. Director of Sports Development with the Lagos State Sports Commission, Travis Nunanyon, praised the events for talent discovery, and TSG initiator Seun Akibon highlighted its growth with 912 participants this year, aiming to revive Nigerian athletics and nurture future Olympians.
Competition amongst private schools in Lagos. It's going well. We're running a little bit behind schedule because we had like really heavy rains last night, and we kind of pushed us back like 30 minutes or so. But it's going really well. The children are having a good time. They're making friends. They're winning medals. Yeah, they're having a good day. We have a total of 9 primary schools and 8 secondary schools today. primary schools are running on the 7, on the 9,
and elsewhere, Ferrari's Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, and Alpine's Pierre Gasly have been disqualified from the Chinese Grand Prix after post-race technical inspections. Hamilton, who finished 6th, was penalized after one of his car's skid blocks was found to be below the required thickness, giving him a potential performance advantage. Meanwhile, Leclerc and Gasly were disqualified after their cars were found underweight during FIA inspections. Leclerc initially 5th and Gasly 11th, both dropped below the 800 kilograms minimum weight after fuel drainage. The double setback for Ferrari and Alpine promotes several drivers, including Esteban Ocon and Kimi Antonelli. This marks Hamilton's second disqualification for a similar issue, following his 2023 U.S. Grand Prix penalty. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, we'll look at our top stories again. Police, military rescue kidnapped naval officer. As trigger-happy police officer sends 3 persons to early graves in Cross River. Suspended Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara makes first appearance since declaration of state of emergency in the state. We also told you that suspected Al-Shabaab militants attacked a Kenyan police station, killed 6 officers in the Yamadu, Garissa County. Don't forget to send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. And you can follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. Watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times 274, Avo TV and YouTube.